Hello, here's another quick video on, I've had a lot of people ask me about this new Senate bill that's coming up, reference Senate Bill 501, okay? This bill is introduced by Senator Wagner, Representative Salinas, requests the Students for Change. This is a group that's basically a wing of the Students for Change thing for the after the Parkland shooting, okay? I wrote over some quick bullet points on this. I'll try to keep this short. I see what I can do. Let's see, main points of this bill so far. It's a this bill would require a trigger lock cable or safe storage required for a firearm, exempting on person or within reach. So, for example, if you have one carrying with you, or obviously on your nightstand or something of the sort, then you don't have to keep it locked up. However, guns you're not currently used, things like that, they should be required. That's requiring you to be kept in a safe, trigger lock, or a cable through the bolt, or something like that sort. 24-hour reporting if it's lost or stolen. Okay, I think any responsible gun owner would certainly do that. Individual permits required for purchase or transfer of any firearm. 1 permit per long gun, 1 permit per handgun. We'll get into that whole permit process shortly. Permits. 5-round maximum for any magazines. Current magazines must be removed from the state within 180 days, or sold out of state or altered permanently to hold only 5 rounds. Now, I'm going to borrow a magazine from my friend Amber Dog, who this is her magazine. This goes to a SIG P365, the standard issue magazine that comes with that particular firearm. It holds 10. Okay, that's the smallest magazine you can get for that. Amber also has another firearm, little single stack, small protection Kimber, I think it was, and it holds 6. That's the smallest magazine you can get for that. The problem with that is that, I could have maybe possibly shown you some of mine without having to borrow some of these, is that I had an unfortunate accident aboard the Titanic and I lost all of my firearms, so I don't even know why I'm making this video. This bill, Senate Bill 501, has no grandfather clause. We'll get into that in a little bit. 14-day hold on any purchase or transfer of firearms, even with completed background checks, unless unique numbers required. So basically what that means is that even when you go to, let's say, a gun store and you want to purchase a firearm, and they do the background check as required by law, in case you leftists don't know that we already do that, yeah, you do a background check. And as in Oregon, any private transfers of firearms require a background check as well. The dealer, this gun shop, whatever, has to hold it for 14 days. And there's a lot more to that as well in this bill. Mandatory firearm safety course to buy/own firearms. Certificate must be rendered prior to purchase. So you have to have a safety course, an active recent slip of a safety course that's done by someone in order for you to purchase a firearm. Okay. I actually agree with that with people who have never owned a firearm. If you've never owned a firearm, you don't know anything about it, or let's say you want to purchase a particular firearm you don't know about, then by all means, go to a gun store, ask them to instruct you, they'll hook you up with somebody, whatever. Don't buy something that, you could hurt yourself with or someone else without knowing what you're doing. If you need to know, ask. Learn, educate yourself, just like on anything. Learn. Broaden the mind a little bit. Individual permits for each firearm. 1 long gun, 1 handgun. Limit per 30 days. Background checks, registration, etc. for all ammunition purchases. That's in Senate Bill 501 too. So yes, background check and registration for ammunition. Yeah. This is a 9mm bullet. And you'll notice there's no barcode, no serial number, no technology to do such. I don't know how you're going to register that. What? Okay. No ammunition transfers without background check and registration. Basically what that means is, let's say someone wants to buy you a box of ammo for Christmas. If they sold them in a box of 20 instead of 50 like they do, that would mean that you would have to do the background check, register it, and now you have to go through a background check and register and attempt to transfer to the individual that you want to buy it for. The problem is that person just bought a box of 20 rounds and they registered, and they're going to commit a felony by accepting your gift of 20 rounds, and now they're a felon too. Love these leftist laws. Ammo limits of 20 rounds per month. Registration verifies your purchase amount. So when you register them, you go into the store, you go in another store and try to buy another box of 20 rounds. You registered, it comes up, red flag, this person's a felon, they're trying to or attempting to break the law by buying 20 more bullets. Mags must be removed, sold, or altered within 180 days of passage of this bill, or 364 days of imprisonment, 1 year for you who were sadly involved in Common Core math. 364 days is 1 year, or 365 is on what was known as a leap year. Cool, huh? Or $6,250 fine, or both, per magazine. So let's see, this particular firearm, right, Amber? Yeah. This particular firearm, when you purchase it, came with two 10-round magazines. So, yeah, that's a lot of damn money. Yeah, that's a lot of money, because this particular firearm came with two magazines. Jeez, man, that's screwed. Permits must be granted by local law enforcement along with background check. Okay, so once you go purchase a firearm, you do a background check, you go through all that muck to be able to purchase the firearm, get the money. Oh, but wait, you can't quite do it just yet, because now you got to march down before you buy it to the local police department, and you got to get a permission slip. They have 30 days to do that and get that approved. Now, once you get that permission slip, now you come on back to the gun store. You say, okay, I got my permission slip. I also have my gun safety course. I've got my background. Oh, my background check expired again? Oh, okay, well, I guess I got to do another one. So now you got to do another background check. Now you supply the background check, your money, your debit card, whatever. You can buy your 20 rounds of ammunition with another background check and permission slip in another 30 days. And you get all this paperwork together, okay, bring it in the hand truck, whatever you got to do, and now you got to wait another 14 days to pick up your firearm. Awesome. Local police have the right to deny at will. So let's say if you're unfortunate enough to have an officer in your local area, oh, I don't know, like what if his name was something like Sheriff Israel that just hates guns and hates people who believe in their Second Amendment, and he says, damn, not approving any of those. I've got 30 days to screw you over. Yeah, thanks, buddy. Mandatory filing, keeping of all permits and firearm and ammunition transfers, registration, anything of the sort for 1 year. Awesome. Okay. Start a filing cabinet for every receipt. I've actually got a friend who keeps all of his receipts, and I think he's still got them for like valve caps he bought back in the 70s or something like that. Kudos. IRS should totally hire you, dude. Permits denied. Second Amendment rights. If they deny your permit, even if you're illegal, you pass a background check and everything's good, you've never had a criminal record, you're all good to go, and that particular officer says, no, I don't like guns. I don't like the fact that maybe you voted for Trump because you got an American flag on your truck out there in the parking lot. So I'm going to deny your permit because I can. Take away your Second Amendment rights just because of a political belief. In this bill, definition of a large capacity magazine is any feeding device, fixed or detachable, that holds more than 5 rounds. So fixed, let's say, for example, you have a fixed weapon that you load in the rounds, okay, that's hopefully doesn't hold more than 5 rounds, although 22 caliber tube fit is exempt from this. Thanks, man. I'm going to defend my home with a 22, like, I don't know, like Wild Western gun or something of the sort. Now, the problem with this is, we're already hearing people on the left say, well, that's good because a fixed device, as in a revolver, holds like 6 or more rounds. So as it outlines in here, you can have those welded up by an armor and then have your weapon inspected and then registered by your police department to show that your revolver now has the additional holes above 5 welded in, or that your magazines have somehow been altered in a permanent way that they only hold 5. While Joe Schmuck the Ragbag's breaking in your house with this like Glock 19 and the magazine, sorry, I won't even fit in the screen, and he's coming in your house, hijacking you, you know, carjacking you, whatever it is down the street, playing Pimp Daddy with his, you know, ridiculous magazine hanging out the bottom of it. And you got your little 5-round magazine. Great. I'm really thankful that these liberal people are endangering our lives and taking away the ability for Americans to have equal firepower at the best that is legal to defend themselves. And 5 rounds, I assure you, if you know anything about guns, 5 rounds is not going to cut the mustard, okay? Ain't happening. Let's see. Ammo transfer paperwork from transferring person must be retained. No time indicated in this particular line, but we can probably assume. I don't like assuming a damn thing. We all know that line. But it's somewhat referenced earlier for 1 year, so whatever. Ammo purchased at a range is excluded from this, but must be used at the range. Then you have to ask, what about those who have no fancy range or have access to a range or practice on their own land? As the next step to shut down all public ranges. I can totally see bureaucrats doing that. Shut down ranges, so then now you've created an unsafe situation where you don't have the ability to practice and safely train someone, or zero or something of the sort. Now you got a weapon that's not zero and you're trying to protect yourself, and Jesus, the wrong person gets hit. Holy crap. Thanks for that 20-round limitation. I don't know about you, but you know, I go plinking. I'm gonna burn through 20 rounds. I don't know anybody that shoots less than 20 rounds, for Christ's sake, and that's 1 month's allocation. Reference to fines for high-capacity magazine. The 8th Amendment of the Bill of Rights states, excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishments inflicted. That is, I'm sorry, that is in our Bill of Rights. Okay, something you should read if you haven't. Now, I don't know about you, but I would think that a year in jail and $6,250 per magazine over 5 rounds is excessive, considering these were purchased legal, and they still are legal. 10 rounds, okay? Or anything, any magazine right now is legal, okay? Any of them. We bought them fair and square when they were legal, and they've been legal for a long time. And if you take them away from law-abiding citizens, do you really think a criminal is going to say, oh, shoot, those are against the law. Geez, maybe I should go turn those in or render them ineffective. I'll just run right down to the police department and do that because I'm a law-abiding criminal. You hear what you're saying, leftists? Do you hear what you're saying? Really? Like, I don't know. Look in a mirror and say that and see if you keep a straight face. The 5th Amendment clearly states, you shall not be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. As in, no grandfather clause, taking of items that were purchased legally at the time. We've seen just a few weeks ago the ban of the bump stock. This was a low-hanging fruit the left was looking for. Both sides came to an agreement on this issue, however, the devil was in the details. No grandfather clause, which is exactly what the left wanted. No grandfather clause. They were looking for a precedent to get rid of the grandfather clause that has been effectively utilized for so long. If you bought them legal, you grandfathered in, you already own it, you're good. Okay, great. We'll just stop manufacturing or sale of their said items in the future. This is what the left has always been looking for, to set a precedent, and they got it. This is one place where I seriously want to just like slap Trump for not seeing this, because that was stupid to give that grandfather thing out. That was really dumb. That set the precedent. These are purchased legally and now under law must be turned in. Now the left feels confident with this set. They can now, with no grandfather clause, go after our magazines, guns, or anything they choose to with this new precedent, as we clearly see in Senate Bill 501 and many others across the land and in Washington that suddenly, oddly enough, have the grandfather clause removed. You'll notice that in a lot of these new bills. Currently, there's a whole ton of them that are coming out tomorrow here in Oregon that have no grandfather clause. And it's not just in Oregon, it's federal as well. The precedent was set with the bump stock removal. Problems that we face and clear leftist anti-Second Amendment goals on this topic. Gosh, we could certainly do one on the First Amendment, but that's a whole other day. Democrat objectives, long-term, remove our Second Amendment rights fully and completely as they're written and intended. Now, they'll tell you that that's not what they're going to do. They've been telling us that they're not after our guns. They're not going to take our guns. They've been telling us this line of crap for decades, probably longer than that. But, obviously, they say actions are louder than words. You look at what they're doing. Yes, they're trying to take your guns. They're trying to render them effective. They're trying to make it so you cannot safely train. They're trying to make it so you have no means of self-defense other than to listen to your door getting kicked in, getting on the phone, calling 911, and hoping the police are not responding to another drug addict laying down on the street or something of the sort while they're coming in your house, they're shooting your family and you have no means of self-defense. And if you're a lucky one under this bill, you might have 5 rounds. 5. How many of you have been in a stressor shooting situation? Okay? If you have, you know that is ludicrous. They want to make it so damn hard for difficult law-abiding Americans to purchase, own, and maintain and train safely to use a firearm. Safety is key. Who could argue that? Why would you want someone to have a gun that isn't safely trained? Well, you're going to take away the ability for them to be able to train effectively and safely and train others to be safe, okay? And to be able to defend themselves. Anyway, so a lot of people are just going to feel it's not just worth the work, and some may just say screw it and sell their guns. And that's exactly as the anti-gun crowd wants. Yet not a single piece of legislation that we have seen is aimed at actual criminals and removing them from the streets. It's always like, oh, you got an illegal gun, we'll just take it from you and back out on the street. Criminals will clearly, under this bill, outgun law-abiding Americans. We should all agree that by nature criminals will not, have not, nor ever will abide by laws we propose or legislate. These laws, while some with good intentions, only come after law-abiding people and affect law-abiding people. And in the end, like gun-free zones, only endanger us, create shooting galleries, and embolden criminals. Federalist Papers and others talk about maintaining our firearms. This includes ammo. A gun is no good without ammunition, which clearly this bill is aimed at removing our ability to obtain. 20 rounds a month is not near enough to secure our protection and train effectively and safe with. There is no way one can safely train a person and be prepared to protect themselves with a mere 20 rounds per month. Thanks for nothing. This bill is ridiculous. While criminals have unlimited ammunition, magazine capacity, and types of firearms. Many people in Oregon, no doubt, are now feeling, with the supermajority, they're feeling helpless. And we know that the left will take full advantage of this to further the anti-Constitution, Bill of Rights agenda. It's clearly outlined in this bill, as with others we have seen and will see, along with just everywhere we see. It seems like just bill after bill after bill. It's just stomping on our Constitution, Bill of Rights, and many are just calling for the absolute removal of the Constitution, Bill of Rights. Screw it, it's a document. Yeah, okay, no, bad idea. They've never read it. We're in a situation like this because many people, not all, have let that voter ballot sit on the table until it's too late to vote. The Democrats continue to move forward. Our voice is fading, in part due to the lack of involvement, in part. Get involved. Stand firm. Vote. Never give up. We must move past the mentality that we should not need to fight for our rights. That is a serious mentality that we seem to have, is we just don't seem to have the willingness to fight for something that we have. We have these rights. Why do we need to fight so hard to retain to be free? Yet we have to. Because clearly there are people who do not want us to be free, do not believe in the Constitution, Bill of Rights. It is still up to us to keep fighting for them. As we see, there are many who are fighting just as hard, if not harder, to take our rights away from us, to further their control over us and the ultimate power, and lead us into utter oppression. We see it everywhere. Hello, Boulder. Speaking to you. Okay? And, Chicago, everywhere else like that. It's governmental oppression, governmental law passing to violate our constitutional rights, and it just emboldens criminals. They're just like, cool, I'm voting Democrat because they're going to screw every law-abiding person who wants to protect themselves, and there's going to be less people to shoot back, and I can just create crime at will. Yeah, speaking to you, Washington, Chicago, LA, and yeah, you guys that passed all this crap who are now suffering the highest crime rate in the country and don't understand why. And in some cases, they're like, it's okay. Get interested, get informed, stay informed. Be proactive, not just in gun rights, but all of your rights. We've seen many of our rights being attacked by the left. One example is this movement on hate speech. You can't have freedom of speech and hate speech. It makes no sense. We already have laws against threats. Calling someone a dipshit is not a threat. It's freedom of speech. Calling you a dipshit is not a threat. Don't be afraid to be called a name. Cause you no harm. And if you're that weak, grow a thicker skin, you wuss. Don't fall for this, it's never going to pass bullshit. And I'm hearing that all over the forums about this SB-501. Oh, it'll never pass, blah, blah, blah. Don't pay attention to it. We would not be talking about this if none of these violations had passed. But they have. And so here we are talking about them. Ridiculous bills we assumed wouldn't pass have passed. So don't take anything like this lightly. As we see time and time again, on good faith, we've tried to meet them fair and square and work out a deal. And time again, they continue to move the line, taking and demanding more and more of our rights to be taken away. More limitations put on law-abiding citizens. The time to say enough is enough and stand our ground is long past. It's time to not give in anymore until they at least educate themselves on what they're talking about, so we can and invite us in to have a fair conversation and say, here's the problem. How do you as a gun owner see this as a problem? How do you see ways to resolve this issue without infringing on your rights, but actually accomplishing the goal that both sides actually want? Okay? Be a part of the solution, not an accessory to the problem by your inaction. I myself am making this little cheesy video. That's one thing that I'll be doing. Do something. Do something. This is a public awareness. Some people just don't want to sit down and read the entire bill. I'm just trying to spell it out. Fact is, like on our firearms, parts wear out. Magazines break, they wear out over time. Access to replacement parts and function for safety are needed. Stop sitting on your hands and saying, I'm good, you know, I'm fine, this doesn't affect me. Because it does affect you. Because if you only take care of what's in the here and now, then if you go back to like 1774 and they said, oh, we're good, you know, we'd be speaking another language right now, okay? No, we're never good. We must continue to fight for our rights. Believe in your Constitution and Bill of Rights and be willing to fight for them. Stand up. Educate yourselves on them. Learn what they are. Read them. Read them. And for God's sake, get off your ass and just understand what you're talking about, okay? They're not teaching our Bill of Rights or hardly teaching our Constitution in schools. Instead, they're spending their time penalizing kids for wearing shirts with an American flag on them because it offends somebody. That's how we're going to spend our time, really. Wearing an American flag in our own country is offending someone. Yet they can go out back and fly their flag in their vehicle and everything's fine. You're in this country, you're in America. Be a proud American. Become a citizen before you come in. Or get here legally and become a citizen. And enjoy these rights given to us under the Constitution and Bill of Rights. Because it's really funny. Once people become a citizen from another country, they come here and they immigrate and they become a citizen, suddenly, you know, it's really wild how interested in the Bill of Rights they are, because that's why they came here. And some of the most outspoken people for our Bill of Rights and our Constitution are immigrants who have come here, not the ones who are currently taking it for granted. So you need to know what your rights are. You need to educate yourself. So reference another thing that I wrote this a little bit ago. I'm just going to touch on this real quick. On the bump stock issue, okay, I'm going to reiterate on the grandfather clause and why this was such an issue. And yes, President Trump, I think you made a huge mistake on this by not insisting on the grandfather clause. You should have stood your ground on that, because you really screwed the pooch on this one. The creation of crime. Okay, this is now with the question of bump stock issue. Once again, we return to our founding fathers. Founding fathers, in reference for those who haven't been taught this in school. The founding fathers, the people who wrote our Constitution, Bill of Rights, and all that helped set up this wonderful country that we all get to enjoy today. I bring this up as the forced destruction of the bump stock, knowing that the left wishes and fights to remove our Second Amendment. Okay, there is no grandfather clause to bump stocks. They were purchased legally under, you know, being investigated and whole hours. Those were purchased legally at the time. So now, under this new law that's being passed, that you must remove them, you must destroy them, proof of destruction, whatever the case is, render them inoperative permanently. This was written May 28, 1788. I believe this was Thomas Jefferson. The creation of the crimes after the commission of the fact, or in other words, subjecting men to punishment for things which they were done, were breaches of no law, and the practice of arbitrary imprisonments have been, in all ages, the favorite and most formidable instruments of tyranny, which is why the Second Amendment was written to start with. Remember that word, tyranny? Okay. So what they're doing in this case is they're saying, you own something, we're now going to pass a law that makes it illegal. We're now going to hold you as a criminal for owning something that was legal when you did it. You didn't break a crime when you got it. You didn't break that crime. But now they're going to say you're a criminal and make you a felon and take away your rights, imprison you and fine you and all these kind of things for an act that you committed that was legal. Okay? That's what Thomas Jefferson right here was talking about. Here we see a violation of our rights according to the Constitution. Those who have used these items for now, bump stocks, tomorrow any type of firearm, then knives like in Europe and Japan, and those who have them or ordered to turn them in to police, Australia, destroy with proof, and render them non-repairable or able to be used. Yet they were purchased at the time legal and approved by the government, ATF, or other departments after full-on investigation as defined by the law that was unilaterally bipartisan passed. Today it's bump stocks across the country. The leftist areas, it's about black guns. They're always racist about black guns. Tomorrow, well, you tell me. When does it become enough to stand for the Constitution? You know, I mean, I could go on forever about this, but I don't want to bore you to death. The fact is, this Senate Bill 501, it needs to end. Bills like this, and there are many that are coming up tomorrow, that you need to be aware of. You need to educate yourself on and understand how ludicrous these are. But if you don't stand, if you don't make a voice, you don't say something, then bills like 501 overnight suddenly get passed, and all law-abiding Americans who choose to exercise their Second Amendment, like Amber over here with this, 10-round magazine, all become felons. Now, obviously, as we know, if you're a felon, you cannot own or possess a firearm. Okay, it's exactly what the left wants. So become aware, be advised, and fight back. Do something. God bless America, while we still have one.